right, we are live. I just want to do a little, I just want to create a link to this, from my artist page to my normal page here. All right, so let's share. I do it as that.
Do you need your headphones?
Well, I'm trying it without the headphones. My headphones busted.
But
So
you got new ones.
What's that?
You got new ones, I thought.
No, those don't have a mic. All right, so it's being shared. There are a couple people watching. Good morning, everybody. Both of you. All right, oh good, you can hear me. That's great. Thanks, Renee. Appreciate that. So it is Thursday. We're here to make this cool drawing of a hand. Hopefully, yeah, it is my hand. Here's Zora, she's here. Say hello to the good people. I am starting to post these onto YouTube, so it's just my name, Deron Cohen. That's my channel, and you can find these there. So if you are watching this at a later time, hello to you as well. And I don't edit these or anything. I just do these live and then I post them. So I hope that anybody that watches understands that. I do take comments. If somebody's in chat and has any questions, just let me know. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're joining me. Let's remember that we're here to have fun, to enjoy ourselves. We're not here to get stressed out about trying to make something perfect. This is just practice. This is not the usual way that I make art. I don't generally copy things, but it's a really good skill to be able to have. So that's why I like to do this. So all you need today is a piece of paper and pencil. I took a picture of my hand. Hands are kind of tricky, and I think people have a lot of resistance from them. So, from wanting to draw it because they are kind of tricky. So I thought, let's just meet the problem head on and just do a hand together. It's not that bad.
Why'd you put it in such a weird position?
I put it in a weird position to make it kind of tricky.
You could have just
because the tough part about the hand is that there's the inside of the hand and the outside of the hand, and the way that you can see the inside and the outside at the same time is a really tricky thing. There's a little bit of perspective that happens, but it's a lot of what's in front and what's behind.
Ready?
So that's what we're going to do. Yes, Zora.
Then run like that.
You would just do your hand just like a plain hand. What I see a lot with kids is I say, draw a picture of your hand, and they put their hand down flat on the paper.
Yeah, like a hand turkey.
Yeah, and then like a hand turkey. But that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to use our powers of observation and to look at what we're drawing and then recreate the shapes that we see onto our piece of paper. So let's begin. I'm going to flip things around. All right, so that feels good. I'm going to move you over just a tad. And let's bring up the picture. You got to have the picture. Hopefully you have a window that has this image, my video happening, and then you have a window that has the picture, which you can find at this very same page in one of the events. It's the latest event. Oh, I don't mind. We can take out any little things that bother us. We can take out when we draw it. But I want to do this hand. So the first thing I want to do is I just want to make sort of the main part of the hand, the palm, where all the fingers meet and the thumb. I'm going to do that whole shape, and you can see it's going to be kind of just a curve that comes down like this. That's where the fingers meet. And then we've got another kind of curve that comes down like this to the wrist. Here's our wrist.
That doesn't look like a wrist.
And then here's this curve that's going to come down like this. Right? Things come together a little bit at the wrist. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think this, so you can see when you compare to mine, Z, that yours got a little bit wide. I think it's going to be, you want it to be a little bit more of a vertical shape. You see how this is a very horizontal shape? Mine is a little bit more vertical. So you can squeeze yours in and make it smaller, or you can come in and make it a little taller. Okay, and then you can see the wrist. You got a little bit of a bump here, and then it kind of comes off the page. And then this side is just, it just comes in, and then it comes out like that. So you can really take each finger and divide it into sections if that works for you. I like to think of the thumb as like a drumstick, and there's the big meaty part of the drumstick, and that's where it kind of comes down towards the wrist. You can see it's more than halfway, right around here. This is the big meaty part, something like this. And then on this side, it almost joins the very side of the hand, but it comes in a little bit, kind of like that. Maybe not quite so much, huh? And then this is where kind of your first joint is right here. Okay? Then you have two more parts of the thumb, and I'm just going to do it right here. So first off, you can see that the bend that happens in here, look how close to where it meets the fingers. It's actually going to be more like here. So I need to, there's almost like this second little curve here, and then this comes like this. I'm just raising this out a little bit. This comes out just a little bit more here. That's the joint. And then you can see it's just going to be like a straight shot right to where the fingers are going to meet the hand. And then this is going to come out kind of like that. And then here's the next joint.
What's this part?
This is, look at the photo. I'm making the thumb.
Why is it so big?
Why is my thumb so big?
Well,
Because I got a big thumb. It might not even be big enough yet. We'll see. Okay, so the last joint, it's about the same size as this joint here, so it's not terribly big. And you can see the top is like a smile. And even the bottom is like a smile. Kind of like that. That's okay.
it looks so weird.
Yeah, Zora's is getting a little bit thin, right? I would move everything down this way to about here, and then make it come like that. Okay, now you can see that. Well, we can add the pencil in next. Kind of makes sense. Pencil is not quite horizontal, so it's going to be a little lower on the left. Stop and hop.
How are you so good at drawing hands?
Well, this is all practice, buddy.
Yeah, but
Here's the other side of the pencil. And we're not even going to finish it. We're just going to leave it kind of like this. Because, you know, we don't have to do all the details yet. We can just get the basic shape there. Maybe I'll make it a little skinnier. Okay, the finger comes right behind here. And it's going to be sort of a frowny mouth. Or here, let's do this first, because if we find the end of the finger, which you can see is just a little further along the pencil from where the end of the thumb is, and it's just going to be like a parenthesis, right, that you'd use when you write something. And you can see it's just going to be kind of a nice curve that comes down and meets over here like this. You've got one joint that comes out like that, and then you've got a big flat area like that, and then it just kind of curves around to there.
What about the thumbnail?
We'll get to the thumbnail. That's a detail. That's a detail. Okay. The next finger, you can see it's just going to come out right here. And it's almost like a U shape. Let's just do the end of the finger. So it comes out a little bit, kind of straightish. And then you've got a big curve here. It kind of has like a little, almost comes to like a rounded off point. And then it's going to go back like that, right towards your pencil. That's that first bend. The next bend, you're going to come into right past that little point that you made, and you're going to make another little smile. Maybe I'll go in a little bit more, a little smile. And then this is going to kind of just straighten out a little bit and meet the thumb. And then you've got this last joint. Things got a little squished in here. I might have to move the edge of my hand just a little bit. But it kind of meets in like that.
Why can't I just go in front of the hand like that?
Okay. Hi, Margie. I see you there. Okay. The next finger, we're going to start more at the...
The last finger, right?
No, because we still have the pinky. You want to do the pinky first?
That's a finger, right?
That is a finger. How many?
That's a finger, right, too?
No, this is all the same finger. Here's Zora's. It's looking pretty good. This is all the same finger. It's this right here.
That's the same finger?
Yeah, it's one finger. It's all one finger.
Oh.
Scott is making a hand turkey. Come on, Scott Berman.
I want to do that too.
Give it a try. You guys are doing fine, I bet. Because this one is pretty easy. At least the first joint is, because you can see it just comes up like a straight line right next to what we just did. It's going to go up a little higher than that joint, and then you're going to make the other side of it. It's going to kind of come like this.
Wait, this is the pinky?
No, this is not the pinky. This is this finger here, the ring finger.
The ring finger?
You can see that it's going to flatten out right here, kind of come out like this. This is joint number 2, and you can have this sort of curve that happens right here. And then we're going to do the end of the finger, which is just going to keep curving around like this. And you kind of get this, the end of the finger that's just going to continue up like that.
Why does it look like a weird thing? Like, look at it. It looks so weird.
You need to have yours curve in a little bit more, like this. There. This should come down a little lower, actually. More like that.
Why is this one so big and the other ones are so small? And
That's looking good. Yours is looking really good. Let's look at
out of
Zora's.
proportion.
It's a little bit out of proportion.
Look at the thumb.
But so you fix it. You fix it as you go. That's not bad. That is not bad at all. I think that looks good. Hey, Ed. How are you, sir?
Who's Ed?
Ed Cronin. I haven't seen him in a long time. Okay, let's do the pinky. It's going to come in like this. It comes off at a little bit of an angle, and then it's going to curve in. It doesn't go too much past this one here. Like if you drew a slanted line that comes down from it, that's about where it ends. So it curves up and around, kind of like a J. And then you've got the first joint, or the top joint.
What are they called joints?
That's just what they call it.
What's this part?
And then this is the second joint. And you can see this guy curves in the other direction because it's a bent pinky. And then you see the other end comes in right here, just like this. So that is actually looking not too shabby.
What's this one not have a joint?
It does. Here's the 1, 2, 3.
Oh. What about the pointer finger?
This is the pointer finger right here.
I haven't done joints on that.
Well, you don't see them as much, but there's one, you can see the lines just like that. And then there's another one right in here. Right? So now that we've got the basics there, hey Joe, now we can start to make it look like more of what we see.
My pencil is brown.
Okay. This is a little longer here.
What part are you working on?
I'm just going in and I'm starting to make more of the lines that I see. This is the contour drawing that we're doing right now, Z. So the fingernail. Yeah, when you're doing the contour drawing, what that means is that you are drawing the edges only. So I'm not so concerned about getting all the shadows right at this point.
Oh, I have the shadow.
Well, you can start to if you want. But I want to get in some of these, like, where shadows will eventually be, some of these lines. There we go. Starting to look a little better. I do have fat hands, there's no doubt about that. I don't know, mine's not that good either, is he? But that's why we practice. Nobody said it was going to be easy. In fact, I think I said exactly the opposite, didn't I?
so weird, Daddy. It's like a circle.
Okay, so let's look at that one. Here's the thing. Okay, so what you can see with this fingernail here is that it's the front of it is just a slanted line that kind of goes like this. And then this line goes back at a pretty severe angle there. And then this just loops around and it kind of comes back from the other side almost like that. So you got to draw what you see. You can't, don't try to draw what you think you see.
Look at my thumb.
It's just not that bad. Here's the thing. This is a tough pose, and you've got a pretty good looking hand there. And I like your pencil too.
You like my pen? Oh.
The way your pencil looks, yeah.
Almost done.
No, because we got a bit of shading to do.
We do?
Yeah, that's the great thing about doing this type of practice is that, you know, you've got time. It didn't take us that long to draw this. It took us 20 minutes to get to this point where it looks pretty good. Right? So if we spend another 20 minutes with it, it's going to look that much better. Okay. I can see I've got this wrinkle that kind of comes down like this. This is good. I've got sort of some lines coming out like that. I want to make the wrist a little bigger.
I'm doing a shadow around the hand.
Okay. I'm almost there. Okay, that seems fairly respectable for being the guy that's actually showing everybody how to do this, right? Okay. It is just a little bit thinner.
I thought this would look a lot weirder.
Yeah, it doesn't look that weird. And then when you start to get the shadows in, it looks even better.
I'm doing a shadow.
Yeah, good.
There's a bunch of them.
You can see just a little bit of a fingernail over here.
Yeah, that tiny little guy.
And then this guy here is like this. You've got sort of like a frowny mouth. And then you've got just a little curve that comes like that. Okay.
That's not part of the nail.
I wasn't doing that. I was doing this.
Oh.
My daughter just likes to argue with me so much.
No,
Yeah?
I just do.
Yeah, you do. These lines that I'm drawing on the pencil follow the contour of the pencil, so. All right. So I can start to add in some shadows. Always remembering that there's not really an edge, that there's no outline, there's just where dark and light meet. So a lot of times, like in here, when I put in this shadow, it's going to help to accentuate the edge because it's going to boost the contrast between the light of the paper and the dark of the shadow.
I have no idea what you just said, most of it.
Well, I'm just saying, look, that this shadow fits right up against this edge here. That do I have an outline around my body?
No.
No, I have where the edge of my the edge that you see meets something else, right? Meets the background, and then whatever the background is, you know.
Almost done with mine.
Well, you're working much faster than me. You got to sort of get a touch for the pencil as far as, you know, like I can see the shiniest part is right here on the end of my finger. So around it, it's going to be just a little bit darker. And then the darkest area is like in here in the crease. And I know that I can, you know, get even darker with my darker pencil. All right, Z says she's done. Let's take a look. I think that looks damn good. Nice job, Z. She's 9 years old. That's pretty awesome. Good job.
Thanks.
I'm going to keep going.
Okay.
Okay?
Why do you make it like so it's dark?
Well,
Light?
because I'm copying what I see. Is the finger itself lighter or darker than the table that it's on?
Darker.
So then shouldn't I shade my finger and leave the table light?
Yeah, but then what about this shadow?
Yeah, that shadow you should put in for sure. Margie says that your picture is impressive. I think so too. She says thanks. All right. There are some real subtle things that happen. You know, you got to really pay attention to what you're doing. I know it's a little darker right in here. But then there's some real subtle kind of changes that happen. So it all depends on you and how much effort you want to put into it. But like, for example, as I put in this shadow and I see it's nice and light through here, that's part of what makes the finger look like it's bending. Definitely takes concentration, but you know, to me it's a meditation. That's what we're doing here. It's just a little bit of a meditation, trying to be in the moment, you know, trying to focus on each thing that I do so that I don't make any crazy mistakes. And if I can do that and stay mindful, then I'm going to end up with a really nice picture at the end. So this is a little bit weird here. But that's just how my thumb is. It's a little bit weird there. I don't know. All right. Definitely dark on this edge. And getting dark in there. You can see it's light right through here, so I just want to be careful. It's always easier to make something darker than it is to lighten something up. So, I try to think about that as I go. This plane is a little darker, right through here, all the ways down the thumb. And then you got this bright area in here. Oh, and then it's very dark right on this side. It's dark here. there's definitely some shape to this shadow, so I want to emulate that shape a little bit. Eventually you start making choices about the lines that you keep around. You know, there's a lot of extra lines that get drawn, and you start to decide which ones you're going to keep, and you start erasing the ones you don't want. I don't know how it is where you are, but here in San Diego, we've had just the most epic weather. Just beautiful, beautiful weather. And I hear it's supposed to get really warm in the coming days, so I'm trying to enjoy these more mild days. But any day is good for drawing. Sort of the back of the thumb here gets really darker, and you can kind of see the joint a little more visibly. I have these lines here. I hope all of you guys are doing well out there and not having too many big issues with all the quarantining that's been going on. There's some real bright areas. I hope I didn't go offline. Am I back? I should still be here, as far as I know. Let me just check things and see. I don't think I've had that happen before, so if that's what's going on, then I need to check it out. Okay. Looks like it's still going. As far as I know, let me yeah. Just check things and see. It is working. All right. So I'm going to continue as if things are still going fine. Oh, all good. Okay, great, Jules. Thank you for that. All right, so let's continue. I have this real dark area that kind of comes along the back of the hand. The actual like kind of ridge here is a little lighter, but this gets kind of dark right in here. Let's try to keep my camera from jiggling so much. Unfortunately, there's really no shortcut to doing this stuff. You just gotta get in there. there's definitely like this long shadow right on the edge. When things are lit from the front, like this kind of was, then you have dark edges and it's light in the middle. When something's lit from behind, then you have light edges and it's dark in the middle. So that's one way to think about how you can sort of fake shadows when you're drawing something that maybe isn't actually there. So see, we've just done another almost 20 minutes, and I think you can agree this is really just getting much better as we go. There's all these wrinkles through here. When I was a kid, I remember I would just sit with my sketchbook and I would put my hand in a position and I would just copy it as close as I could. And I did it with my hands, I did it with my feet. And that was probably really good training. When I was a kid, I loved to draw. And I was really lucky that my parents they encouraged me. And when I wanted to go and study art in college, they said yes and supported me and made all the difference. It really helps having somebody in your corner that believes in what you're doing. And I've always been really lucky with that, having friends and family that really seem to appreciate it. And I know not everybody has had that. So I definitely consider myself lucky. There's quite a bit of brightness on the palm of the hand. It's not that dark. There's just some bright areas through here. Let's go back into the fingers over here because there's some interesting things that happen. I think this is a little big. I think this is probably a little bit long too. Let's just trim this back because it should be probably about to here. This kind of puffs out a little bit. And then that's where the fingernail is. Always try to make it better, you know. If something seems off, then just correct it, you know. So you can see it's bright on the end here. And then it starts to get really dark. You can see this is dark in here. almost like this other darker area here. And then this is all pretty dark until you get up towards where the pencil is. It lightens up. But it's still not as light as the fingernail. I think this will definitely be the type of thing where I have to go back with a darker pencil. This is a real dark area right in there. And then it's kind of lighter up near the thumb. Kind of like that. Okay. And this is dark on this edge. You can see there's a little bit more shadow that comes in here. Got a dark sort of line where the joint meets the hand. And then this is all kind of light in here. It's just much darker. There we go. That's looking pretty good. All right. Sometimes you see some reflected light, like you get a light edge. Like in here, you have this sort of light edge. Or there's like a shadow, and then there's lightness, and then there's another shadow that kind of comes in here. It's kind of weird how things go over in that area, because you have one finger casting a shadow on top of another finger, and then the shadows that each individual finger does on its own. It can get confusing. You can see the light is coming from the left and, hitting the main part of the palm and, that front edge of the fingers kind of. A lot of shadow down in here. of shadow that comes onto the palm here. Oh, Wendy, good. Yes, I hope you will join me sometime. Or, you can always watch these after the fact. There's no issue there. They're all there on my art page, so you can go back. Or, like I said, you can find them on my YouTube. Got to figure out a way to keep this thing from being so... the arm that I put my camera on gets so rattled, or I shake my desk so much, I guess, when I'm drawing, that it shakes the camera. So I got to figure that out. If I'm going to keep doing these type of things, I got to figure out how I can make things a little bit better. Okay. And let's get this last pinky in here. Because, hell, if we spend 40 minutes on this thing and it's turning out pretty good, imagine spending a full hour. You can really make something cool when you put time into it. Doesn't matter if we're talking about a drawing or something you're writing, a poem, a song, a story, a dance. I bet even without any training, if you put an hour into making a cool dance, I bet you could make a cool dance. So again, we sort of find the contours, create the shadows, leave bright areas. Things start to bend a little more. Our fingers start to really feel like they're bending, and that we have a little bit of dimension. I'm always looking for images, guys. So if you have images of things that you might want to draw, or things that you'd like to see me draw, please send my way. I had so many good ones that people sent before, but some of them are not going to work out because there's just too much stuff. We're only doing this for an hour, and so I want to be able to kind of mostly finish things. And if there's just a ton of objects within a given image, it just takes so much longer to draw. So that's the idea anyway. A little bit lighter in here. All right, we're getting closer and closer. This is when it would be helpful to have like a really light pencil. So that would be like a high H, like a 4H or something like that. Would be a very hard pencil that would give a very light mark. Just like if I come in with my 4B, let's find a 4B. That's this guy. And I start to come in here and really decide, okay, this is where it's dark. You can see how much darker it can get. So if I had had the time, I might go back in with this darker pencil and really bring out some of these darks. And if I had a lighter pencil, it might be a good idea to do the same thing when I start trying to make my lighter shadows. But you can see things are starting to come together pretty nicely here for me. But mainly, you can't be afraid to make mistakes. You know, everybody's going to make mistakes. And it's just about how you are able to confront those mistakes and make corrections, you know. It's no big deal. We've got an eraser here. Yeah. Never really paid too much attention to the grooves that go around your wrist, but I definitely have them. And there's also kind of the tendons that you can see a little bit underneath the skin. One thing that Zora did very nicely, which I want to spend a little time doing, is the shadow onto the table, because right now it looks like it's just in midair when it was really kind of right up next to the table. And so I'm just going to lightly, you know, the further away something is from the shadow that's casting it, the lighter it's going to be. So the pencil will be the lightest, and this edge will be kind of the lightest area of the shadow. And then darkest right next to this edge. You can see through here there is like a very, very light edge right on the edge there. And that is reflected light from the table bouncing back and hitting the edge of the hand there. And that happens a lot when things are round. You get a lot of reflected light. So we are starting to come down to the wire here. Oh, interesting, Jules. That the grooves help you figure out where you put your acupuncture needles. I did not know that, but that makes complete sense. I was also thinking about the way that acupuncturists see each individual organ as a sort of as a microcosm of the whole body, and so you can affect the whole, you know, certain parts of the body by putting certain by stimulating certain points in the hand that represent other areas of the body. And I just think that that's so fascinating and such an interesting idea. Kind of got a fuzzy edge. It doesn't have like a super defined edge. It's almost like a double shadow, which makes sense because I have sort of a light over here to the side that I was using, but then there's an overhead light as well, and so that would give you two shadows. That's the idea. Not too shabby. I think I'm going to call it a day right there. Let me flip around and I'll say a proper goodbye. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I hope that your hand drawing turned out great. I will be putting out another event for Monday. I'm thinking maybe we'll go back to watercolors again, and I'm going to try to find a nice image that we can recreate. So again, if anybody has anything out there that they think would be a really cool, colorful image we could do in watercolors, send my way. Otherwise, have yourself a wonderful day. Have a wonderful end of the week, and hopefully I'll see some of you guys on Monday. Bye, everybody. Take care.